I want to start out this convention a little different than a lot of things, going back in history to, my father was a business agent in Local 25, and he started in 1965, which was a long time ago, and I brought my father's gavel to open this convention with. It's an honor to me to hit this gavel down in honor of my father, who was a great union man who I followed along in and went with him, and it's just an honor to hold this gavel up here. I wished he was here to see it. It is with great pleasure that I welcome you to the 41st Constitutional Convention of the Bakery, Confectionery, Tobacco Workers, and Grain Millers International Union, the BCTGM. Over the next week, we will celebrate everything our union has achieved over the last 4 years, and we will set the course for this great union for the next 4 years. Over the next week, we'll hear from some of the courageous workers who made the ultimate workplace sacrifice by striking greedy corporations who called our members essential one day and then demanded wage and benefit cuts from the next day. Brothers and sisters, we struck their asses to preserve and protect our standard of living that we fought for back then. And we're going to strike anybody else's ass that gives us any shit. So y'all get ready. I'm not afraid. Don't send me a letter saying you want to strike unless your ass is ready to go, because you're going. I think everybody's found that out, that I'm not afraid to put you on the street. And the International Union will support you 100%. We will be there for you. And I want everybody to know that that's what we're here for. We're here to fight for people, fight for what's right. And we're to do what's right for the company. We're to do our jobs, but then we want to be treated fairly. And they didn't treat us fairly after the pandemic's the way I looked at it. One by one, we beat back the corporate greed and told those greedy employers what they could do with their concessions and givebacks. Throughout this convention, we will hear from those who chose to stand up to their employers in an effort to join our union family. We will hear how this union-led labor fight to save our pensions. We will be inspired by the stories of essential workers, our members, who risked their own health and safety to keep American and Canadian families fed during the pandemic. And I want to get y'all to all give yourself a hand for that one. Over the next 5 days, we will be inspired and energized so that we can mobilize to continue our important fight for workers' rights for the next 4 years. For y'all that don't know me, I'm going to give you a little history on myself and how I got started in this. But before I get started on this, I've got to give a hand to my wife, Julie Shelton, who's in the back. Julie, would you stand up for 1 minute? Julie, that was too quick for all you've done for me. Stand up again. It's hard being on the road like we are, y'all, traveling, going to service the locals. You got to have somebody at home to keep things under control, and she's done that for 30 years, and I appreciate it. Thank you. My time with the union began when I was just a young man. Like I said, my father, started being the business agent in 1965. He was a principal officer of that local. He started at Colonial Bread as a bread dumper. A lot of people never even saw a bread dumper. You dump the bread by hand instead of the automatic machines that we have now, or the suction cups that bring it up out of the pans. They actually dumped it by hands and then had to stack the pan after they dumped the bread. It was a hot job. It would burn your eyes, and it was tough. He went from working in a grocery store, in a non-union grocery store. He was working in 1952 for $15 an hour a week. And he went to $36 a week at a union bakery. Now he doubled his pay by going to work at a union bakery, y'all. My father told me that my mother and him thought they were rich, $36 a week. And but that was a huge difference to my father and my mother, and my whole family, to me too. So that's what happens when you get a union job. I've been in a union family my whole life. And one thing I encourage people to do, and I want y'all to do it if you can in your locals, I encourage people to do what my father did and take your children to the union meetings. I'm a big advocate for that because that's how I learned. Your kids need to know what you go through, what kind of fights you go through in life, what you have to put up with, what the employers are doing to them. So anytime that you can, I recommend you take your children to the union meeting. Yeah, they're going to hear some words and they're going to hear some things, but you know what? That's part of life too. It may not be everything we hear, but load your kids up and take them. My father took me to union meetings, and I saw fights in the hall. I literally saw people get knocked out. Back in the 60s, it used to be a little rougher than it is now, just to tell y'all the truth. I walked picket lines when I was just old enough to barely carry a sign. But I found out what people were fighting for. And it was tough, and I learned then that, some people get treated right and some don't. And then some people bring things on themselves. So do what you can to promote the union and have a union family, but let the kids hear and know what's going on. I think it's great to do that. At those meetings, I learned what it means to stand up for what you believe in and fight for workers' rights. My father also taught me to be the best worker I could be. I was always a good worker in the plant I came out of. I worked hard. I tried to do the best I could for the employer, but I didn't let them run over me either. And I was chief shop steward in my plant. Let me tell y'all a quick story right quick that I did one time, though. Y'all liable to hear a few stories from me. One time I was in sanitation department. This guy, this smart ass, come back there and told me to go outside and trim the hedges on the front of the bakery. I said, that's not my job. He said, I didn't ask you if it was your job. Go trim the hedges. And we had some beautiful hedges that ran all the way down the front of the bakery. They were about this high. They were beautiful. I said, give me them damn trimmers. I was about 20 years old, y'all. You got to remember now, I was young. He came out there about an hour later, and they wasn't a piece of greenery on nothing the whole length of that bakery. I told him I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't never have to trim them bushes again. Sometimes you can work by the rule, y'all, and you can get their attention more than you can by striking. I love that work by the rule. So they tell you to do something sometimes, just go do it. And that helps sometimes. I began my career at Wholesome Bakery in Chattanooga when I was 18 years old. And for anybody's figuring up, that was 1973. I've been in this union since 1973. That's a long time, y'all. Damn, I thought I'd get a better applause for that 47 years. Yeah. Let's go. We're going to have some fun this week, y'all. It ain't going to be just us up here talking and going on. We're going to have a little fun, so y'all just get ready. We're going to have some great meetings and things. Anyway, my first job was a pan stacker. So I had to stack pans, and the first night that I was there, I burnt myself from elbow to wrist, was eat up with burns. If I could have found the back door, I'd have got my ass out of there. I'd have left. I guarantee you it was tough back then. So I stacked pans, but I stuck it out. That was in 1973. After Wholesome Bakery closed, I went to work at Colonial Bakery in Chattanooga. It was there that I first became a shop steward. For most of us in this room, that is how we got our first union start. Filing grievances, dealing with supervisors, protecting workers, enforcing the contracts. I've always said that stewards are the most important part of the union. The stewards are the first line of defense of our members. They are the face of our union. I love it when stewards meet people at the door, y'all. They're the foundation that keeps us strong. How many of y'all have been to a shop steward training class? I hope everybody in this room just about has. Raise them hands again. I can't hardly see y'all. Oh, that's good. Thank you. I learned a lot from the stewards who came before me and always did my best to represent the members in my bakery. Tennessee is a right to work for less state, but everyone who worked at our bakery was in the union. There was 200 people in our plant, and every one of them was in the union. Can you believe that, in a right to work state? There was a reason for that. No one in that bakery was going to allow someone to come in there and get the pay and benefits that we fought so hard to achieve without joining the union. We were not going to put up with it, y'all. We had newcomers sign union cards the first day in the plant and held their cards until after their probation was made. Some of the stubborn ones, you know how you have those stubborn ones, tried to resist joining at first. Some people told us they wouldn't join in the damn union. But after a few days, they decided it would be in their best interest to join, if you know what I mean. They had problems. And they were either going to join or they was going to get their butts out of there, y'all. And that's just the way we had it back then. And it worked. Like many of you, I wanted to get more involved with my local union, and I ran for local union office in 1986. Just as I had done when I was a steward, I took my job as the local union financial secretary very seriously. In 1992, I was asked by International President John D. Consini to become an international representative in what was then the 4th region, now the Southern region. My first vice president was Willie Cullins. I learned from him how to conduct myself as an international representative so I could better assist the locals that I was assigned to. I spent the next 23 years negotiating contracts, serving local unions from Florida to Texas to North Carolina. And I'd like to say right here, back in 1992 or maybe 93, I met Ed Dowd right here in 103. I don't remember what year. Was it 92 or 3, Ed? 93. Ed Dowd. Stand up, Ed. Everybody see an old guy. Thank you, Ed. You're the financial secretary now, aren't you, Ed? Ed's doing a good job. I appreciate it, Ed. Me and Ed had some tussles. We don't always agree, y'all. All of y'all aren't always going to agree with me either. But we're all going to fight, and we're going to argue. But when we go to fight those companies, we're going to be together. That's the key. I helped with organizing campaigns all over the country. Some we won, like Rich Products in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. Some we lost, like R.J. Reynolds in North Carolina. But we never stopped trying to bring more workers into our union. My union journey continued when I was elected International Vice President in 2015. In December 2019, I was elected International Secretary Treasurer, then elected International President in April 2020, when one of the best trade unionists I have ever known, David Durkee, passed away after his long battle with cancer. Give David. David was one of the most dedicated trade unionist, fightingest people I have ever seen. But boy, he could be hard-headed. I may tell you, David was tough now. Sharon ought to know. Sharon, where you at? Where's Sharon? His wife is here today. Sharon's back there. Sharon knows what I'm talking about when I say how hard-headed he could be. And David was tough, y'all. He would fight and he would argue. David Durkee and I had some hellacious disagreements sometimes. Me and him got up in each other's face a few times. But when we went to fight the company, David and I were together. And I always remembered he was the boss. So, you know, he usually got his way, but I would tell him what I thought anyway. But that was one heck of a guy to work with, and I appreciate Dave Durkee, and he did everything he could for y'all in this union, and thank you very much. I'm humbled by my journey from the shop steward to international president. Just to tell you the truth, y'all, I never saw it coming. I was just doing what I loved to do. I loved being a shop steward in the plant. I loved being an international rep and trying to help people. And how I ended up here, I'm not real sure, but I'm glad to be here. It's worked out good. Everything y'all have done on the shop floor, I've been there before too. David and I both came off the shop floor. We've been working 20-hour days, can't leave the bakery, working 7 days a week sometimes. So there's nobody in this room that hasn't done what David and I have done, and we will never forget where we came from on that, y'all. Every single person in this room owes a great deal of gratitude to this international union. And every single one of us must fight to make sure that future generations of workers in this industry have the opportunity to be members of this great union. Over the last 4 years, our union and our members have faced major challenges. But as you will see over the next week, I truly believe that those challenges have made us stronger, smarter, more resilient, and better prepared to take on the next fight. Of course, the pandemic was something nobody in America or Canada had ever had to deal with before. As the world economy came to a halt, our brave brothers and sisters were deemed essential workers and kept on working to keep food on the table for families in Canada and the United States. Even when scientists were not sure what the pandemic was really about or how people caught and spread the virus, our members kept on working. Many got sick. Tragically, many of our workers and co-workers died. So we've got to think about them as we continue going on, y'all. But this union never stopped fighting for them. And in that uncertain environment, our members continued to work. Our grain and sugar mills made sure food companies had the ingredients to make their products. Our cereal plants made sure families had their favorite breakfast. Our bakeries made sure the kids could make their sandwiches for lunch and cookies and potato chips for snack time. Our frozen food facilities worked 24/7 to ensure that families could stock their freezers. Our dairies churned out yogurt, almond, milk, and other products to keep our diets balanced and in check. Our members at Purina and Milkbone made sure our pets had food and treats. Hey, everybody likes their dogs and cats, don't they? All our members, from a mill in Missouri to a bakery in British Columbia to a candy plant in Illinois, worked their tails off during one of the most uncertain periods in our history. I would like to applaud everyone in this room and all our members across 2 countries for the work they did. And because our members stayed on the job, so too did your union officers and staff. They deserve a round of applause as well. Out of the pandemic came our historic strikes. As the pandemic began to fade and we went back to normal negotiations, our local unions and negotiators noticed something strange, but not really surprising. Our employers didn't really seem to care that we had worked tirelessly through the pandemic. In fact, it was the exact opposite. They wanted takeaways, concessions, and givebacks. Any way you put it, Our employers did not want to reward our hardworking members. Instead, they wanted to take away from them. And honestly, I think they thought it would be easy. But they quickly found out just how wrong they were. Brothers and sisters, this union's historic victories in our strikes against Frito-Lay, Nabisco, Kellogg's, and Rich Products brought new energy and enthusiasm to our union. The BCTGM took on four of the biggest, wealthiest food companies in the world, and we won. These companies all underestimated the strength of our union, the determination and resolve of our leaders, and the grit and courage of our members and their families. They made a bet that our members, our leaders, would fold. Brothers and sisters, they made the wrong bet and they paid the price. They learned the hard way, never bet against the BCTGM and our members. The contracts we signed after each strike were good, solid contracts with improvements in wages, benefits, and working conditions, and no givebacks. We won each of these strikes because of the courage of our members, enormous labor solidarity, and tremendous community and political support. We won these strikes because the companies involved underestimated the solidarity, resolve, and courage of our members and their families. Frito-Lay did not believe you would strike, and you did. Nabisco didn't believe you would strike, and you did. Kellogg's didn't believe you would strike, and you did. Rich Products didn't believe you would strike, and you did. They didn't believe you, and you proved them dead wrong. We won these strikes because of powerful BCTGM solidarity. All of our locals and members were willing to do whatever it took to achieve victory. It was never about individuals, locals, or individual members. It was about fighting for what was best for all, what was best for the entire membership of our great union. And I'll tell you this, the companies never expected this kind of solidarity out of y'all, but y'all did it. They thought we would splinter apart. They just knew it. We didn't, and that's why we won. And that's why, y'all, when they were calling us at the first of the strikes, they had a cocky-ass attitude. By the end, they were wanting to talk to somebody, and they were wanting to get them settled. And we told them they had to go to the membership and get whatever the people wanted to get it settled. And the people voted to resolve these strikes, and that's when they ended, and not until the people voted. Little did we know that our victories over four of the largest food companies in the world would light a fire under the whole labor movement. It's not a coincidence that your strikes would start a period of labor action and mobilization that would see workers at Starbucks, Amazon, and Apple all become union. 2021 was not only an historic year for our union, it was a historic period for the entire labor movement. Throughout each of our battles, we got great support from politicians from the White House all the way to local officials. Whether it was President Biden issuing a formal and historic public statement, or support for striking Kellogg's workers, to the mayor of Buffalo intervening with hometown Rich Products, to Labor Secretary Marty Walsh walking the line in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, political support was exceptional. Of course, we could not have been victorious without President Liz Schuler and the powerful force of the AFL-CIO. For those who don't know, the AFL-CIO has over 12.5 million members. That's over 12 million brothers and sisters that had our back when we needed it. Liz wasn't president a week when she came to our Nabisco picket line in Richmond, Virginia, and walked shoulder to shoulder with our members. She also walked our Kellogg's picket line in Omaha, Nebraska, our Rich Products line in Los Angeles. Not only that, she mobilized every department of the AFL-CIO to assist us as needed, and all the staff did a great job. We'll hear from Liz later this morning. We had tremendous support from unions across the labor movement, including leaders from some of the nation's largest unions. Teachers President Randy Weingarten walked our Kellogg's picket line in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. AFSCME President Lee Saunders walked our Kellogg's line in Memphis, Tennessee. NFL player President J.C. Treader, a veteran NFL center, walked our John Denaire line in L.A. with Liz Shuler the day before the Super Bowl. And just as important was the outpouring of support from local unions in all of the striking cities and states. Pipe fitters that brought water and pizza to the line, teachers and nurses and public employees who walked the picket line, steel workers that brought their kids to see what a strike line was all about. That's powerful labor solidarity. And I make a promise to you now, the BCTGM will repay every one of them in full by supporting our brothers and sisters in their time of need, just as we have always done. Secretary Treasurer Woods and I recently traveled to Alabama, where coal miners have been striking for over a year. We walked the line with them, spoke to them. It was a small gesture, but one that I feel is vitally important. This wasn't the first, and it won't be the last strike line we visit to show our support. That's what good trade unionists do, and it's what the BCTGM has done for almost 150 years. I'd like to challenge everyone in this room to do the same. When you see a strike line in your city or town, pick up a sign and join it. Honk your horn, bring them supplies. You have no idea how much these things are appreciated. If one of our local unions goes on strike in your area, grab some officers, stewards, and members and support them on the line. That was how we won those strikes, y'all, is the support was everything from everybody. Our own local unions, from the other local unions, the AFL-CIO, the community support. That was how we won, y'all. Don't forget that when you have a problem. Build your community support now and start working on it so that you're ready when you do have a problem. Get involved in politics. See who helps you. See who helps labor. If they don't want to stand up and help labor, then we don't want to support them. That's how I look at it. Wave your local union banner proudly. Get them out. If you don't have one, get one made. And when you see a strike line, get your ass out there and wave it around with them. Walk with them. Take care of them. We're all in this fight together, and when we fight as one, we will not be defeated. Throughout the next week, you'll hear about our strikes and bargaining victories and organizing wins. But this convention is not just about what we've done over the last 4 years. It is about how we set ourselves up so that the future generations of BCTGM members will know the benefits of being part of this union. To make sure this happens, we all need to make sure that the foundation of this union is rock solid. And that means we are going old school, as the younger generation says to us. A focus, and this is the big point to David and I, because we came out of the shop, we know what it's like. Our focus is on service, education, and mobilizing our members, just like the trade unionists that founded this union 140 years ago. They knew that a union is only as strong as its members. Members must believe in their union, they must believe in their cause, and they must be willing to fight for it. This is where service and education go hand in hand. The strongest, best served local unions all seem to have one thing in common: strong, educated, and active shop stewards. For many new workers, the first contact they have with their shop steward influences what they think of the union as a whole. If a worker has a good first experience with the shop steward, their view of the union will be strong and positive. That makes members more likely to be engaged, more likely to come to meetings, participate in union activities, and get involved at contract times. Knowledgeable stewards can handle grievances promptly and efficiently. Well-respected stewards can educate newcomers on the contract and guide them to become strong trade unionists. A whole plant full of strong stewards keeps supervisors in lines and helps mobilize when needed. When shop stewards take care of business, the membership is stronger and the local union is stronger for it. That is why we make steward training such an important component of our education program. Well-informed, educated, and enthusiastic stewards are the bedrock of a successful local union. With the pandemic behind us, we have spent the last 6 months zigzagging across North America training for our local unions. Many more are planned for the rest of the years. I want everyone to know that this international has helped you to do anything you can to strengthen your local union with social steward training, social media, assistance with new member orientations, negotiations, organizing, arbitration. This international is here for you. One of the things that David and I love to do, and we've seen a lot of y'all, we've been crisscrossing the country a lot. We've been to a lot of shops. We don't like to set up in Washington and sit up there and not visit the plants. We like to get out. We have visited shops all the way across this country, Los Angeles. David was in Idaho not long ago. That's what we like to do. So anybody that's got a shop that we can walk through and see the members and talk to the members, we want you to contact us and let us know that you'd like for us to come out and visit your plants, visit your shops, talk to the membership. We love that sort of stuff. That's what David and I thrive on. And anybody knows David knows that he'll talk them to death. We want to know what issues our members are facing, what they're dealing with. We have hired a lot more staff to help you out with servicing and organizing. I hope everybody realizes how many people we have put on and we're working with to try to help service and be in the locals more. We want the international in the locals more. The pandemic's getting over. We want to be there. If you need help, we want you to tell us you need help. Call us. We'll get somebody in there. Your vice presidents will make sure that somebody gets in there to help you. And I think everybody's realizing that. Each of y'all is going to make an important part of this. Before I conclude, I want to read something from labor reporter Harold Myerson that I think is fitting. And I'm going to read this off. The roll call of unions that have changed the trajectory of American labor is relatively short. The United Auto Workers, United Mine Workers, AFSCME, and the American Federations of Teachers. Today, a much smaller union is punching way above its weight. It's vying to join that list. After 40 years of union decline, workers' ultimate weapon to win what's rightly theirs, the strike, looks to be coming back. A phenomenon not seen since Ronald Reagan busted the air traffic controllers in 1981. And the union leading the charge today is the BCTGM. Our stature is higher than it's ever been, but we can't rest on our laurels. Workers across our two great countries are hitting the streets in a fight to save the middle class. We are fighting for the very rights and benefits that have been bought and paid for by generations of union workers who came before them. Do not be mistaken, this is a worker-driven movement. We're living an incredible moment for working people that is being led by workers. Workers are standing up to say enough is enough. Let me tell you this, we will not rest until those workers who want to join our union can do so without retaliation. We will not rest until we elect politicians that will fight for the working class. And we will not rest until all workers can have affordable health coverage, make a good living, and retire with dignity. That is our fight, each and every one of us. Thank you very much.